This is Andrew for the Chosen Prime with the video preview and overview of the entire team of Gravity Builder bots from Generation Toy GT01A through F, or their full set of Constructicons. I will be going over the entire team with comparisons in the robot modes and vehicle modes, but if you're just interested in seeing their overall combined mode here, Gravity Builder or their Devastator, skip about 6 minutes ahead. So let's go ahead and take a look at their individual bots. So here's the entire Gravity Builder team, all 6 Constructicons in their robot modes from Generation Toy. As far as I know, these are all the prototype or test shot versions of the toys, but retail should not look much different than these. Officially, they are GT01A, B, C, D, E, and F. The names would be Scraper, Mixer Truck, Navi, Bulldozer, Dump Truck, and Crane. Their real names would be Scrapper, Mixmaster, Scavenger, Bone Crusher, Long Haul, and Hook. As you can see, they're all a nice kind of Voyager scale figure. They all have very nice paint, very solid, nice updated kind of classics to almost masterpiece level of the characters. Nice purples, nice greens, and they just look really, really cool here as a nice cohesive Constructicon team. And here we've got all of the Gravity Builder members in their construction vehicle modes. We've got a payloader, a cement truck, a power shovel, a bulldozer, a dump truck, and a crane. And you can see the Generation Toy's done a pretty good job of making modern, updated takes on the Constructicon members. There's a nice mix of greens, purples, and blacks across these characters. Most of them do have rubber wheels that roll really well, and even these guys have little wheels underneath their treads. And they've all got really nice Constructicon team here in their construction vehicle modes. And now I'll go ahead and compare them with the Generations Combiner Wars version Devastator. This is the US release of the Devastator gift set. They are roughly the same kind of Voyager height scale across the entire set. You can see that the Generation Toy and Gravity Builder figures are a lot more detailed, a lot more posable, have a lot more paint than these local ones. And then of course the size is pretty close, except for everything except for the Generations version of Long Haul is just kind of huge because he has to be the torso. But here's a nice kind of comparison between the two different sets. And here we've got a vehicle mode comparison between the two sets. Again, here's the Generations line, and there's the Gravity Builder bots. The Gravity Builder bots have a lot more paint, detail, part count, and just a lot more modern look across all 6. They also are a more common size. They don't have any outliers like the Combiner Wars does with this version of Long Haul. And you also just get a lot more options as far as the way that these arms can pivot and move a lot better than they do than limited on the Combiner Wars version. And so here you can see that if you do want a kind of a nicer, newer, more modern classics or masterpiece scale Decepticon force, the Gravity Builder bots do a pretty good job compared to the Combiner Wars version. We'll do a remote mode comparison with the very first third-party Devastator effort. This is TFC Toys Hercules team. You can see the one-for-one character transition between the two. This was an awesome Devastator back when it was originally released a couple years ago, but the new effort from Gravity Builder here in the back, they're larger, they're more solid, they have better paint and detail, they're posable. It's just, it's amazing what a couple years can do between the two, but the Gravity Builder effort here, especially in robot modes, is there's no contest to how much better they are compared to the original TFC Hercules bots. And now I've got these two sets side by side in the vehicle modes. You can see what a difference a couple years makes when you go from the TFC bots to the Gravity Builder figures, and just how much you get a much larger scale kind of constructed vehicle, a lot better, rubber tires, paint, detail, just overall, these were a great first effort from TFC, but you're definitely be upgrading if you invested into the Gravity Builder bots. And one final set of individual bot comparisons. Here's the Gravity Builder figures next to the ToyWorld Constructor bots. Both teams put together are just too large on my setup to try to show them and accurately compare them, and so I'll pair them off here, and this is most likely the comparisons that most people want to see. So here on the left we've got the versions of Scrapper, we've got Scraper and Shovel, and then here we've got Mixmaster, we've got Mixer Truck and Concrete, and you can see that the ToyWorld ones are a little bit larger, and their style homage is more like the G1 toy figures and more of a masterpiece scale. Whereas these other ones are more, from Gravity Builder, a little bit more classics, a little bit more stylized, but they also can work as masterpiece figures as well. And here we've got vehicle comparisons. As you can see, we got a nice set of payloaders, a nice set of cement trucks. Of course, the ToyWorld ones are a little bit larger in vehicle mode, and these are a bit more stylized and more modern. They both sets have rubber tires, both sets have moving scoops, and etc. And they both look really nice here in their vehicle modes. And here's the next set. On the left we've got Scavengers, we've got Navi and Unearth, and on the right we've got the Bone Crushers. Oddly enough, they're both called Bulldozer. You can see again that the ToyWorld ones are a little bit taller and more toy aesthetic, and then the other two are kind of more classics and stylized take on the characters. And we've got vehicle mode comparisons for this set. Here we've got a pair of power shovels, and here a pair of bulldozers. Navi here on the left, his arm can rotate as well as the lift, unlike Unearth, and you get a much larger kind of front shovel here than you do on the ToyWorld effort. And so you get a much more modern and kind of stylized take on the Constructicon characters with the efforts from Generation Toy here on the first and third efforts. And they're a bit more scaled for your classic collection, but they also could work for a masterpiece collection. And here's the final two sets. On the left we've got the long hauls, dump truck, and burden. And on the right we've got hooks, which are crane and allocator. Once more, you can see that the ToyWorld ones are taller and more toy aesthetic. I will make a note, the only individual guns I had for the Gravity Builder bots at the time of the video were dump truck and crane, but all the other figures do come with hand weapons as well. And here we've got a vehicle mode comparison between this final set. We've got a pair of dump trucks and a pair of cranes. Dump truck here on the left is a bit more modern take with the ladder compared to the G1 toy version that Burden kind of homages. They are roughly the same size. They both have rubber wheels. They both roll really well. And then we got the pair of cranes here. Their arms do both lift and rotate and extend. And again, you get a little bit more detail and more modern kind of classics-esque take on the Gravity Builder bots. And now it's time to combine them all. First, we need to get them all into their limb modes, and I will make a note about the legs here and how these ports right here are extremely strong, the ratchets, and how you need to get them so they're in that position so that you can slide in dump truck's legs into that spot. But I've had to use a tool every time I want to kind of move these into the right position. This is extremely strong ratchets to move back and forth. And then the same thing with Mixer here, that this is just extremely strong ratchet. And then one little addition from when I originally did the very first preview, I found that you can put the missile part here and tab it into these little two pieces that rotate out to kind of make a nice stronger heel. We take both legs, we bring in dump truck, and you can see we need to have the port like this, and it's a matter of just kind of sliding it back into that channel on each side, and then ratcheting it forward. And again, it's very strong to kind of get that ratchet set up correctly. And we'll do the other leg. And there we've got his legs. You want to make sure that when you're getting the legs attached here, that the connector ports are pushed all the way through so you see this little kind of gray circular part fill through, and that'll give you enough leverage when you push up on the back of each of these kind of legs to make sure that these are fully 90 degrees. And that's essentially the torso ready to go. Next, to get crane attached, there's a peg here, and there's two little pegs in the back of this dump truck part here that'll correspond to spots on top of crane here, as well as these two spots in the back. So it's just a matter of lining them up and then kind of sandwiching it down. And once you get it down, it'll hold nice and securely, and then again come to the back, and the parts of dump truck will peg into the back, really holding it all down. Let me take the crane here and angle it on his back. Now we can get to the arms. Next we'll come to the arms. Here's one of the little trailer pieces that contains one of the fists and lower arms. So it's a matter of just opening it up, flipping out the fist. There you can see the individual fingers and thumb, closes back up. And we have this keyed part right here. If we come to bulldozer, there's also a similar kind of key. So it's a matter of just matching it up, rotating it 90, extending it, and then now we've got access to, you know, the full hand and joint. And here's the connector port. We just need to make sure that it's rotated so that it's kind of set up with the T this way. Come to the torso here, you can see this metal kind of port right here. And it's a matter of just sliding this into place. And it'll slide in and hold securely. So we'll move to the other arm. And we'll come to the other arm here, same trailer, we'll open it up, flip out the fist, close it up. Get Navi here, again with the keyed part that matches the keyed part here. Insert it, rotate, extend, and there we've got this fist arm ready to go. And again, just come up here and slide it into this slot. And then finally we take the chest wing that came with dump truck and just peg it on to the front of crane here. And we've got Gravity Builder fully combined into his Devastator mode. So let's go ahead and take a look at some close-up detail here for Gravity Builder. Taking a look at some close-up detail here for Gravity Builder in his combined form. You can see there's a lot of nice detail and paint across all the figures. He does to get tabbed together very well and hold pretty securely in this mode, even with most of these being test shots or prototype toys. As for articulation, again, his head is on a swivel as well as can pivot back and forth. The arms are on a pretty strong ratchet, and it's actually on a double kind of arm ratchet here. You can slide out to get some decent posability. The arms can spin at the kind of lower bicep here, and they have a ratcheted elbow. Hands are on a ball joint, individual fingers. They're quite nice. The hand can rotate, individual thumb. He does have a waist swivel that is, that if you move these kind of pivots out of the way, works quite well. And here's a close-up of his lower torso. You can see how much detail there is in the legs, how large heel spurs he's got. He doesn't slip too much. He does have ankle articulation, which I'll show some poses here in a little bit, but it's very nice design here from Generation Toy on this updated take on Devastator. Here's an example pose you can kind of get him in with all his different joints and ratchets. He's able to hold this kind of action pose quite easily, even though as heavy as he is. All the ratchets in his arms, how large his feet are, and the ankle articulation, he can do these kind of poses. Great use of fingers in his hands, and just a lot of emotion you can kind of get out of the character here. I do have his screaming face installed here instead, and I did remove the crane, which he can hold as a weapon, which I'll show off here. And here's an alternate pose where he's holding his crane as a bludgeoning weapon. Unfortunately, I do not have the gun, since these are mostly test shots, but he will come with an overall kind of Devastator gun for the full mode. And this pose also shows off how you can use the additional ratchets here in the arms and the shoulders to kind of even get his arms to come out further than they are in this mode. And one final note, some people have asked whether the chest plate here or the eyes light up. Neither one does. I have even opened this up and there is no electronics in here. One could be put in here if you did it customized, but by default there is no light here or in the head. And now we'll get to some Devastator comparisons. So here we've got the full Gravity Builder next to the original G1 Devastator, and you can see how much larger this new modern classics take or even masterpiece take is compared to the original G1 toy. And here we've got the next size comparison. Here we've got TFC's Hercules, which was the very first third-party version of a Devastator. Comparatively to the effort from Generation Toy, you can see how much nicer Gravity Builder is overall as far as design, posability, paint. Just, it's funny how much nicer this Gravity Builder effort is than this original toy from TFC. Stepping up once more, here we got Combiner Wars Devastator from Generations. This is the Hasbro US release. He is much taller than Gravity Builder on the left, but he is also a lot more simpler. He's hollow, nowhere near as posable. You get a lot more posability, you get some detail, and you just get more intricate toy here from Generation Toy, and it's just a much nicer kind of modern take on a Devastator here for both classics and masterpiece collections. And here's the final Devastator comparisons. Again, on the left we've got Gravity Builder, on the right we've got ToyWorld Constructor. You can see that Constructor here on the right towers over the effort from Generation Toy. That's mostly due to the extra parts he has. The entire kind of lower torso here is an extra part, as well as the forearms. And the one on the right is more stylized to the G1 toys to make sure it's a kind of a masterpiece version in that regard. Whereas the one on the left's got a lot more details, a more modern update of the characters, and it fits both classics and masterpiece collections. They're both excellent versions of the Devastator. It's kind of like whatever preference you like. They both have really great posability, details, and just both great toys. And it just kind of depends on which one you want for your collection. And here's a quick comparison to show you how he looks with other kind of classics Voyager scaled combiners. Here we go on the right, we've got Mastermind Creations Feral Rex next to Gravity Builder. And to me, that's where the Gravity Builder set kind of fits best for me. It's a nice Voyager classics version of Devastator. It does work for both, but I think here it shows off that if you wanted him as part of your classics collection, the Generation Toy one definitely fits really well alongside other third-party combiners. And here's a final combiner comparison. Here we've got Combiner Wars Superion. You can see that Gravity Builder is considerably taller than the Combiner Wars combiners, but then he's detailed and kind of built like other third-party Voyager scale combiners like Orden, Feral Rex, Lyle Kaiser, etc. And if you were using, Generations Devastator, who is about this high, as your kind of Combiner Wars Devastator, then maybe Gravity Builder fits that scale. Again, I think Gravity Builder here, he fits both masterpiece as well as classic scales. and to show off how Gravity Builder does look with other Masterpiece figures. Here we've got Apollyon and Masterpiece Starscream. I think Gravity Builder does a pretty good job of being a Masterpiece scaled Devastator. He's got the detail, he's got the design, he's got the posability to kind of work, and he is a nice height to fit along your shelves with other Masterpiece figures if you so choose. Some final thoughts here on Generation Toy Gravity Builder GT01A through F, or the full team of Constructicons from the company. As you've seen, the overall team members look great in individual modes, but then they also make a really excellent Devastator when put all together. There's a lot of detail, a lot of paint, a lot of posability. It works for both classics as well as Masterpiece collections, and it's just an excellent, overall great first effort from Generation Toy. We happen to have a few of the figures in stock at the Chosen Prime right now. The rest are available from pre-order. We hope to have both Dump Truck and Crane available within the next month or two. Don't forget that if you do order all 6 of the figures from the Chosen Prime, we will include the little Legends class Megatron called Tyrant. It turns into a G1 version of Megatron, as well as the gun that Devastator here can hold, and it's an excellent little bonus for the set. If you've liked what you've seen, or if you've been buying these individually as it's gone, I don't think you're gonna go wrong here. I think you'll be happy with Gravity Builder once you get them all assembled, so take care.